double negative.
Hello, Gunpla builders and Gundamentals. Hello. Today we're going to be doing some scribing today using our 00mm engraver. I'm just going over some steps here, just showing you how I got some of these fine details and these different type of parts I just different engraved on each side, just giving some different details on our Ez-8 from 08 series. So, this video is also sponsored by New Type. New Type HQ sent me these engravers, so I want to shout out to New Type HQ. Sent me some nice engravers and a couple other little things I got. Just some HQ metal parts here. I got these, copped these from New Type HQ, so head over to New Type HQ. Alright. So we're just going to basically start with some, I did this other foot here, let me find it. Some different engraving parts. This one is top. And here, just kind of find with some contour. The thing about panel lines, you always want to draw your panel lines out. So if you can see, like I drew my panel lines out already, my shape, and then I'm just taping it. And then I'm just gonna start with this engraver here. You can get in. So it's gonna start like easy, going back and forth. Let's bring the camera around so you can see what I see. Let's get in here. Alright, so I'm gonna first take the engraver. I'm gonna make my line real lightly, not putting a lot of pressure on it. Just kind of just making my line. And you're gonna take your time. Easy pressure, not to slip off the line. And I'm actually pushing downwards, going towards the area I want to go and make that line. So now I just want to connect this here, right, and straight across. Right, I'm just going to have a little dip there. So again, just following that contour real lightly. Okay. Now, I always kind of remember like the amount of strokes I did, so if you make 4 strokes, you want to make 4 strokes in that same area, just so when you run that line, it's a constant groove. There's no hiccups. Because what happens is, if you don't have that same line depth, that tends to happen. Just like you just seen that there. The guide will slip off. Sometimes you can actually just get it back on track, and when you sand it, it'll actually come out. But you just want to make that groove line the same depth. So, okay. So, let's go in here. Just following that same contour line we shaded before. Get that groove set. So that groove already can run into that line. Okay, now, same thing on this side. It's going to start out slow. Slow. And this is 0.00mm, so this is actually so fine and so small, but it's just gets a good starting point to just get that groove. So once we take our scriber, then we can make a constant line with our Tamiya line scriber. Okay. All the contour in a straight line. Going real lightly. Okay. So now we made our first initial lines, our first initial groove. So now I'm gonna take my Tamiya scriber, and this is one like solid line, just like one size only, but you can buy different scribe size blades that'll give you different size, but this is just the regular stock Tamiya scribe. And I'm just gonna start. I just started at any point that I wanted to start, and you guys tell me out there who are a little bit more experienced scribers, doesn't matter where you go back and start that initial line. Because sometimes I find out if you can have these starting points like these little pockets, And sometimes these little pockets kind of help. You get this initial groove, like here, if you see in this corner here. It's like a little pocket here, and that pocket allows me to get that constant corner, that 90-degree angle. So you guys tell me out there in the comments a little bit more experienced scribers. Like I said, I'm new to this. Been building Gundams maybe well, let's get the story straight. I'm old school, so I actually got familiar with my first Gundam kit in the 90s. My father came out the military, was in the Navy, and once he got out, me and his thing, once I was a kid, was kind of like building model kits. So he would take me to local model places, and I'm from the Midwest, so model places here are kind of pretty frequent. You know, the Midwest is pretty old school as far as like mom and pop spots, so you can find a lot of mom and pops, like old, vintage, you know, toy spots. And I know you guys seen that little oof there. Okay, so you seen that little oof? Because I wasn't paying attention. So I'll show you how to get that oof out. You know, just gonna sand that a little bit. And the thing about scribing is you can't really go back actually after you go too forward. So you want to take your time and do this the right way. Practice scribing on things like pieces of plot play before you actually go on your model. Because, you know, when you go on your model, it's actually done. You know, you actually have to either sand or add some putty here, you know, to kind of clean things up if you go too far. So, you know, the thing about this is just practice. You know, I always tend to look at a lot of guys out there who scribe. You know, shouts out to who scribe on their channels. And you can see their links in the description box. You know, I always provide links in the description box for other cats who do different Gunpla building. And I'm always inspired to look at these guys too. So I just want to be a friend in the community and share my whole thoughts and share my whole instincts and how I do things in this whole world of Gunpla. And, you know, I'm celebrating the 40-year anniversary that Gundam just had. But get back to my story. So building model kits, you know, and I'm from the old school. I was born in 1982. So building model kits, going in those mom and pop stores, I used to see these robots, you know, either old school Machine Krieger or something sci-fi, you know, type robots. And whether that be, you know, the old school Mazinger Z or GoBots or that type of Transformers deal, I was always appealed to. So the mech type anime-ish characters, because I'm an artist, I draw and paint. You can check out my Instagram page, #SyntaxArtist, and you can see my different art that I just transpired through this wonderful world of Gundams. So I got into art, you know, reading, of course, comic books, and anime was my thing. And anime was real rare then. It's not like how we had, like on TV, now you can just watch Toonami or any different channels that's coming on cable. You know, cable was actually rare in my day. Everybody didn't have cable. I'm talking like a grandpa back in my day. So, yeah, guys. So, you know, going to visit those mom and pop spots, getting a hold of those models, seeing different types of models, wanting to build them. But they were always a little expensive. But I remember my first actual Gundam kit back in the 90s. Very simple, but I was so complex for me. I think it took like 2 weeks for me to put this thing together. It was like a puzzle. And after I got it put together, I was like, wow, man, I tried to play with this thing and it, you know, fell apart because, of course, my building skills was a child, was not as far as, you know, a beginner. And those kids back in the 90s was real delicate. Like, they were fairly put together singly, and they would break because, like, the arms were not articulated. They didn't really move unless you got to bigger kits, and, of course, I couldn't afford those bigger kits. So I started building Gundams back in the 90s. Of course, stopped because the kids were just like, you know, what is this, you know? So I got out of building those kits and, you know, got into my art more later in the years. And then I actually got back into Gundams early 2000 when, like, some of the newer kits were coming out, the bigger kits with inner frames and things like that. So I started putting those things together and wanting to, like, get into, like, the whole painting aspect. Looking at magazines, shouts out, like, Hobby Japan. Those magazines kind of inspired me to kind of get into modeling and this detailing. And I remember movies like Star Wars and miniatures and things like that. So I always was compelled to making toys and those type of things. So in the time of making toys, I actually got back into Gundams in the early 2000s. And I was doing vinyl type toys. And so looking at these different mechanical parts always had me intrigued to how things moved and articulated actually from runners without using glue. So that first intrigued me, and that a whole kit could be like snapped together. And so, I actually have those first couple kits. I was using spray paint because I'm a graffiti artist. So I was trying to take what I knew as a graffiti artist to ply play. Little did I know that instinct could be done, but I guess I just didn't know how to. And so those kits came out like extra thick. Let me see if I can grab one of those. From the 90s. A lot of dust on this one. See if I can dust it off a little bit. Okay. So if you guys know the name of this Gundam, I know it's from Seed. I know this Gundam is from Seed or Seed Destiny. And like I said, yeah, these kits were not as articulated. Like the wings moved, that was pretty cool. I think it was like a head gimmick. You know, the side skirts moved for holding the guns. But as you can see, not very articulated. I think this scale here was very small. I don't even know if they make this scale anymore. But again, like the knees don't move, they were single little feet action. But as you see how I painted, it was real dark. You know, the little smooth panel line doing the panel lining. But these were like my first kits during the early 2000s. So, not new to this, guys. So yeah, I got back into Gundams back in the day. Let's see another one. See if you guys remember this guy. Oh, these things are definitely been sitting on my shelf because these are like dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. So this is an old ancient Gundam kit. This pretty broke. You know, like I said, these things were pretty fragile. I don't know what type of plastic they were using back in these days. But the plastic was like real thin. Yeah. So, like a gun tank. Like a gunner tank. So yeah, you can see, guys, my painting skills are very, very amateur. And I'm just kind of showing you guys like the growth in this whole thing. It's early 2000s, 2000 maybe 2. Okay. So again, 2002, and then I got back into Gundam building maybe 2018, really heavily. So yeah, guys, building those kits back in those early 2000s kind of like helped me come up with different ideas as far as like drawing mechs and those things. I've always been seeing mechs, because, you know, because of anime. Made another goof here. Talking too much. See? That goof. Really can see it. Okay, so usually now after the goofs, I'm just gonna show you guys while I continue to run my mouth. You understand that? Leave that line there. That's important. Don't send any hard lines away. Those hard lines will be very important later on. Okay, now I have an edged, diamond-shaped sander. Right. And on that edge, I'm just kind of go against that bevel, just creating some depth in a straight, solid line. So any bumps that you made by doing nice, solid strokes, not to go holding your sander at an angle, making those groove points. So if this metal looked like it was folding or bending, or extra plate, it was welded in.
Double negative.
So yeah, man, love gunpla, love model building, love art. You know, love different mediums. I'm an artist of all trades. I do 3D animation, illustration is my first passion. Got a bachelor's degree in 3D animation, so I'm an actual 3D modeler. And so that got me into 3D modeling and animation. Got to doing tattoos, so I'm still pretty decent with tattooing. Tattooing is another art form. It's kind of, you have to practice, you know, practice, you know, because it's always permanent. And of course, you guys know I'm a graffiti artist. A real renowned graffiti artist, they say. Painting in different countries, different states, and those things. Again, you can look me up on Instagram, #SyntaxArtist, or go to my website, syntexart.com, down there in the link in the description box. And you can check out some art, you know, buy a couple prints or some t-shirts, and visit my store, Limited Dimension, #Limited Dimension, my store where you can actually find Gunpla models, Gunpla art, t-shirts, and all type of cool shizarit. Alright, you guys, so got my line here, my detail line, as you can see. Alright, so comparison. You know, in extreme, scribers will go to the measurements of measuring, and sometimes I measure, you know, a lot of times you can eyeball things, but a lot of times to be precise, we want to use measuring tools. So, and for instance, like these two grooves are set at 2 points, so I'm just going to make where the indentations should be for these grooves. So now I have a starting point and an end point of where my groove line is. And that's kind of just using symmetry when you draw. Okay, so I'm going to take my Master Tools chisel. Master Tools makes a couple little things, you know, they're Chinese. Shouts out to different countries for supplying all the Americans with all of our classic model materials. And shouts out to New Type HQ. Okay, guys, and when you come back, we will see the end result of the Ez-8 with different scribing details put in.
Double negative.